Sagittarius, welcome to your end of August 2022 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. It's funny, I always say to myself, I'm not going to tell them that I'm a Sag because it's like it's like being 5 and telling everybody your age. That's how I feel about being a Sag. I always want to just mention it. That I'm looking at these cards for myself, and how do they play into my life for the last part of August. The heart of the matter is the Ace of Cups. This can be new love coming into your life or a new creative project. We can't neglect to mention that because that is very important to some people. Even like if this is a new baby, it could be your creative project that is your baby, not a physical baby necessarily, but any of those things, either conceiving a child or coming up with an idea for a project that you feel is going to be very good, to explore. And so there's a lot of creative and psychic energy, and it's not surprising because I have here in the past position the High Priestess, which is a card that is specifically associated with getting in touch with your higher self. It's funny, I have a t-shirt with the High Priestess on it. It's kind of funny, I wear sometimes. And so this is, sometimes I see this as really, getting to your core self. Like, who am I ultimately? Maybe you've had some experiences in August, I know I have, that have really reminded me about the brief quality of life. You know how sometimes life seems like it's just dragging and, minutes seem like hours. And you go to a funeral and you realize, wow, this is it for that person in this lifetime. Not saying it for them as a whole, but in this lifetime, that we are always so obsessed with, everything that's happening. But ultimately, it's just a moment in time. And so maybe you've had some experiences that have really reminded you of the brevity of life or the meaning of your life. And if you're somebody who is creative, for instance, and I seem to champion people who are creative, and you're like, I have to do this project. I have to start now, because if I don't, I'm just going to keep procrastinating and maybe I'll never do it. Or if you have been wanting a child, Sagittarians tend to be very independent, and yet some of you may want children and you've been kind of procrastinating, but you're like, wow, what is the importance of life? Maybe you're worried about money, or you're worried about how much free time you would have, but this is something that's very close to your heart, because the cups are about your emotional longings. The higher message is the Emperor, which is connected to Aries. And it's really about your inner guidance from a more, I would say, like a more mundane perspective. So the Empress is kind of like your inner life, and the Emperor is that outer life, getting your house in order. And so it's a very interesting card with the juxtaposition of that Ace of Cups and the High Priestess, because it's much more of that practical, grounded energy. It's like parenting yourself. That's what came into my mind. Maybe you need to exert discipline on yourself in some area to achieve whatever that Ace of Cups means to you, because you have been scattered. I think Sagittarius sometimes can get scattered. Because we are mutable signs, we have a lot of interests. What can we say? And but sometimes you have to put more focus on something in order to achieve it. The number 4 that's connected to the Emperor is about structure. It's connected to Saturn. So you have to kind of sometimes practice some tough love with yourself and say, no, before you do this, you got to do that. And we have to get ourselves, I want a child, but I don't have, my house isn't organized for that. I haven't cleaned out that room that's going to be for the baby. I haven't, done this or that you need to do. Or if you are starting a writing project, do you have time carved out for that if you have a day job? These are practical concerns. And so organizing yourself, organizing your time, very important. What crosses you is the 7 of Wands. Is there anybody or anything that is draining your energy, Sag, that is making you feel like you have to defend who you are? There's something about this that it's reminding me of something, but I can't remember what it is. One of the big things is when I'm thinking specifically of somebody who wants to be an artist, is that a lot of times other people have their opinions on whether or not what you're doing is okay. And it's kind of outrageous when you think about it, but that's how people can be. They can stick their nose into something. They can judge other people's experiences, even if they don't have the right to. And unfortunately, sometimes we give our power away in trying to defend what we're doing. I would say in the first place that especially if you have some idea that has some creative elements to it, you don't have to tell everybody what your plans are. Sometimes the best thing to do is work behind the scenes, because then when you launch something, you've already built up this momentum and this like protective energy around you. It's kind of like this, I don't know how you would describe it, but you don't have to worry that whatever it is that you're doing somebody's going to poke holes in it. Sagittarius like to share. You like to be an open book. You like to be enthusiastic about something and all of that. But sometimes we're dealing with limited consciousness and other people that can't really support you in this way. I'm trying to get every piece of this in frame. I have a moon in Virgo, so I'm like really anal about that. That's just because a lot of people feel like they can't achieve their dreams, so they don't want other people to achieve theirs. It's not really, it doesn't always have to be that they're, oh wow, they're so evil that they're doing this. No, it's just matrix thinking, which is limited thinking, fear-based thinking. Speaking of which, what's coming in is the 8 of Swords. Whatever it is that you're going, remember, Sages, are optimistic, but sometimes we are overly optimistic, and we underestimate how much resistance is within ourselves. I actually see this card as resistance. That is coming from old tapes. So, and this is right below the High Priestess. You know what I recommend for people who are trying to, change their life in a positive way or achieve a certain goal, maybe break through creative blocks if you have those kinds of things, is to listen to or watch like a Reiki, long distance Reiki session that has some kind of connection to the subject at hand, because it can work wonders. Trust me. And also there are these frequencies that you can listen to that are specifically designed to like activate certain things within us, like healing, or I haven't listened to anything for creativity that I'm aware of. But I'm sure that I'm totally sure it exists. So, and also to reprogram yourself through other means. It's about rewiring your brain. So that's how I see the Eight of Swords, is you have to rewire your brain in order to um, not just fall into the same old patterns. The best thing that I can say about the Eight of Swords is remember that a lot of this has been projected onto you. It isn't even things that you are self-generating. And because of that, you can know that it's ultimately doesn't have power over you, because once you can see how somebody may have felt this way about themselves and then they project it onto you, you can give it back to them. I mean, not in a malicious way, but you can say, this isn't mine. This, you have to, you know, it's like if somebody hands you a bag of trash, are you going to sit with that trash? Or are you going to say, no, you know what? This is your responsibility to dispose the trash in the dumpster. Don't treat me like a dumpster that you just dump on with your negativity. The outcome, the Justice card. Now, the Justice card is a card of fairness. You know, I don't see anything here specifically with legal matters, so I suppose the Emperor can be a judge, though. So, there are a couple of challenging cards with the Seven of Wands and the Eight of Swords. So if you are somebody who is finding new love in your life, but you're dealing with a divorce situation or something along those lines, just realize that all of these things are going to be resolved. And the Justice card is in the upright position, so justice will be served and you will be free from whatever has been going on. But if this has nothing to do with the law, and this has to do with your own experience, it's to me about homeostasis, meaning that there's equilibrium is restored in your life. Because when we're going through different cycles, we're beginning a new cycle, things can be a little bit unsettled because we haven't been in this territory before. So it's understandable that there might be pushback even within yourself. And you can, as long as you are bearing witness to it and you're actually paying attention to what it is that you are going through in a very conscious way, you can transcend. It's like kind of like when they talk about the demons that seem to. There's a phrase: the demons guide the highest gates, meaning that once you really get to where you want to be, that it may seem like there's more challenges right before victory, but victory can be yours. This card connects to Libra. If there's a Libra person who is playing a part in all of this drama that we call life, that's what I have for you, Sag. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a personal reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.